Welcome to the Maverick Center in West Valley City, Utah, for our live coverage of Round 2 of the 2021 NCAA Gymnastics Championships. Teams are competing in 2 separate sessions today. We're set now for session number 1, which features Utah, Arizona State, Boise State, and Southern Utah University. Later today at 9 Eastern, we'll see LSU, Kentucky, Utah State, and Arizona. Hi everyone, I'm Bart Connor along with my fellow Olympic medalist Kathy Johnson-Clark, broadcasting from our respective homes. Kathy, this is certainly one of the wildest weekends in women's collegiate gymnastics because there's so much at stake. Only 2 teams from each of these 2 semifinals will advance to tomorrow's regional final, so there's a lot at stake because in reality about 3/4 of the gymnasts, their seasons are going to end this weekend.
Well, as the top seed, Utah, they shouldn't have a problem in this semifinal, but regionals, as you said, can create a strange dynamic nerve-wise. So that do or die, top 2 or you're done, can creep into your nerves, and they're going to be tested right off the bat. Utah's going to start on beam. 2nd seed, Arizona State, they start and end on their 2 best events their very, very best event is the bars, the first event off the bat.
Okay, it's a complicated format. There's actually 4 regional sites, 36 total teams. 16 of those are seeded teams. Now, the first round was yesterday. That was essentially a play-in meet. Second round is today. 2 quad meets. Top 2 scoring teams from each meet advance to the regional final, which will be tomorrow night. Now, from the regional final, it's a quad meet as well. The top 2 teams from that team competition advance to the NCAA semifinals, which is 2 weeks from now in Fort Worth, Texas. So there's a lot at stake. And as we've seen before, Kathy Johnson-Clark, just because you're one of the top seeds is no guarantee that you're going to make it through to the NCAA championships. A couple of years ago, one of the top teams in the country, Florida, traveled all the way to Oregon State for their regional. They had 2 falls on beam that they had to count, and they didn't even make the NCAA championship. So as you mentioned, there's an unusual amount of pressure in this meet in particular.
For these top teams that are expected to move on, their focus is competing normally. Stay relaxed but aggressive, calm but focused. And the teams that aren't expected, they can go for broke. They're not protecting anything. They can just go for it, and that's where you have the situation for an upset.
Now, our competition today is going to have an unusual format because we're going to be in a quad box, and we're going to be watching 4 teams at once. In this first rotation, Southern Utah is ranked 25th in the country on vault. Arizona State 12th in the country on bars. Utah, their best event, they're 3rd in the country, and Boise State had an outstanding season this year. They're ranked 14th in the country on their first event, which is floor. We'll be watching this competition in what is known as a quad box, so we'll be watching 4 events going simultaneously, and it's going to be a lot of action. I figured today, Kathy, we're going to be covering over 100 routines, and with 4 regionals all doing the same. On the ESPN3 app, you're going to see over 400 collegiate gymnastics routines today, and it's just the best of the best in women's college gymnastics. What a great day.
And when you watch these athletes in this final touch warm-up, they're really focusing on their strong mental cues. You can't let everything come rushing into your brain. You have to focus on those strong cues, not get ahead of yourself. For instance, on vault, there's a lot of speed and power, and it's an adrenaline event, but you have to control the landing at the very, very end to get that stick and give away no tenths of a point in deductions.
So in this first rotation, Southern Utah will open up in the vault. That's on the upper left part of your screen. In the bars, the upper right is Arizona State. Utah starts on the beam, their best event, and Boise State will open up on the floor. So for Southern Utah on the vault, it is their MVP this year, the MRGC Freshman of the Year, Carly McLean, who will lead them off. Arizona State will have Cassie Barbonente lead them off on bars. Alexia Birch will be the first performer for Utah on beam. And Hope Maciado will lead off Boise State on floor. Here we go for a 4-ring circus.
Carly McLean does a full twisting Yurchenko on vault. Judges looking for height and distance, and of course that all-important landing. Very, very good start for them.
Utah on the beam, as I mentioned. Alexia Birch. Utah currently ranked 6th in the country, but their top event is this event, the beam.
And this is an event Coach Tom Fardy really likes to recruit natural, strong beamers because it often, big competitions, close competitions, often come down to who's best on beam. Nice job with her leap series there on beam. Bars Cassie Barbonente finishing strong for Arizona State. We're seeing really good opening routines for all teams.
One of the best events for Arizona State, 12th in the country on bars. Barbonente, the freshman from Itasca, Illinois, got them off to a good start.
Notice that first tumbling pass. She kept her heel up off of that out-of-bounds line.
The floor for Boise State is Hope Maciato. She's a junior from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Has a season high of 9.825. She competed once in the all-around this year for Boise State. A lot of relief for Utah on beam. It takes a lot of pressure off a team when your first athlete goes up and hits, doesn't it, Kathy?
It absolutely does. You really want to find that athlete that embraces that pressure of starting the team off strong. They have to stay calm, focused, and it's not just in the competition, but also during training. You want to feel comfortable with that person that leads you off.
Kathy, you as an Olympic medalist on balance beam, did you like to go early or late in the lineup?
Depended on the competition. I could go either. I was often the anchor in my early part of my career, and I loved that position. But the more experience you have, the best mentality is put me anywhere, coach. I'll do my job.
All right, we're waiting on the score. Here it is now. Carly McLean's score for Southern Utah, their first vaulter, a 9.75. Stephanie Tervort will be next.
Boy, she was really short onto the table. You could see her arms were bent. She did not get up on top of the table to get the complete block. So it was just a matter of, is she going to get around her feet safely, which she did. But unfortunately, that will be the score they want to drop. It's a fall, 0.5 of a point out.
Good point, Kathy. This is competition where 6 athletes compete on each event for each team. Count just the best 5 scores, of course, their team total. So Stephanie Tervort, the junior from Spanish Fork, Utah, a little unlucky there, but hopefully they can get 4 more hit vaults for Southern Utah in that first rotation. On bars now, Juliette Boyer coming after Cassie Barbonente led them off in the 9.8.
And she has opened this routine beautifully with 2 flight elements, going from low bar up to high, right back down to low. Showing off excellent form. Look how aggressively she went after that handstand. Very well done. Big dismount, full out. Oh, just took the step right at the very end on that landing. I thought she'd have that still.
On beam for Utah now is Lucy Stanhope. Alexia Birch led them off with a 9.9. What a start for the Red Rocks.
That is huge. Oh, Stanhope just did full twisting back handspring to a back handspring. Unusual acro series and uncharacteristic fall. So already Utah has put themselves in a pressure situation.
Stanhope from Warrington, England, member of the Great Britain national team. She competed in the World Championships for England. Her season high on beam was a 9.875. Elkabchi now on floor for Boise State after Hope Maciato led them off with a strong 9.825.
Erin opens with a tuck double back, struggles a little bit to control that landing, but stayed in balance.
Stephanie Tervort's score for Southern Utah is a 9.075. Caitlin Coe now third up on vault.
Good vault to get them back on track. Looked like a significant hop on the landing. The judges sit right on the side so they can see the distance of that hop, and that will determine the severity of the deduction.
Caitlin Coe, the junior from Rosemead, California.
Oh, and a fall on floor. Just mistimed that combination pass, the punch in between those two elements.
Emily White on bars for Arizona State. Score in for Juliette Boyer, a 9.85.
So far, hitting the handstands really beautifully over there on bars. Nice form. Wow, went hard for that last handstand. Had a little sway in her back. Gorgeous double layout and a perfectly stuck landing for ASU.
This is the best event for Arizona State and a good start so far. They had a 9.8 and a 9.85 in their first two performances.
So early on, we've seen a couple of falls, and keep in mind that 6 gymnasts compete on each event. They can drop one low score, so these teams can survive a mistake. More than that, though, they're going to have to count a fall. Many of these athletes, the freshman and the sophomore, they have never competed in a regional meet, so this kind of pressure is new to them. Also a quad meet, all events going at the same time. That can create a lot of energy, but it can also create a lot of distraction. They really have to stay focused. Also, the fast pace of this meet is something these gymnasts really have to conquer.
Good point, Kathy. Majority of the roster for Utah, in fact, only 3 athletes have ever seen the regionals in the postseason, partly because it's a young team, but also because last year, of course, because of COVID, the postseason was canceled. So many of these athletes, this is a complete new experience, and it's a different type of pressure than even the conference championship, where a title is at stake. Here it is, the season is over if you don't perform well today. And there's a judges conference on beam, which puts a little added pressure on Crystal Issa, who's coming up after Lucy Stanhope only scored a 9.0. So not what she wants when they're already up against the wall on beam.
We saw a neat vault by Rachel Smith of Southern Utah, full twist on to a back tuck. It's a 10.0 start value. We're waiting on that score.
Hannah Scharf on bars now for Arizona State.
We'll keep an eye out on Hannah. She's competing on all 4 events. So the all-around today, a little hop on that landing. Her chest was a little bit low, slightly under-rotated, but solid routine.
Emily White before her had a 9.85 for ASU.
Crystal does a triple series here. Back handspring, layout. Very solid.
Adriana Pop now for Boise State on floor.
She's a very dynamic tumbler and dancer. It's with a front through to a double back. Large step on that landing. The gymnasts are allowed 1 step out of their tumbling pass in the direction. Strong routine by Crystal Issa for Utah on beam. On floor, these landings must show control on the 2 feet. They're allowed that 1 step. If it's too large, it'll be a slight deduction. This is one of the best fulls on vault you'll see in the competition. Very solid with her technique. That was a pretty sizable hop, though. They'll have to deduct there.
Morgan Alfaro coming after Rachel Smith had their second 9.725 in a row. Southern Utah yet to break into the 9.8s on vault. Sarah Clark on bars now for Arizona State.
Nice blind change into a straddle Jaeger. Nice big swing out of it. Nice flight on that pack salto, slight leg separation. Strong finish here on floor, just as the bar routine is finishing with a double layout. Wow, what a landing, really strong routine. Nice level of difficulty in that routine as well. That should score well for ASU.
Arizona State started with a 9.8, and they have two 9.85s and a 9.825. So very consistent for this young team. In fact, 13 of the 18 athletes competing for Arizona State who's on the bars right now are freshmen or sophomores. So you talk about lack of experience and zero postseason experience for these athletes because, of course, last year's season, there was no postseason. It was canceled in mid-March. Hannah Scharf scores in as a 9.825, and Cairo Leonard Baker will be the final performer for Arizona State on the bars. Kathy, she can fly.
Absolutely, and she does a nifty little transition from low bar to high bar we don't see quite as often. I'll point that out. But she'll open with a Maloney to a bail.
Final vaulter for Southern Utah, Molly Jazwiakowski.
Nice Yurchenko full, little bit of a pike down and a step back on the landing.
On beam for Utah is Abby Paulson coming after Crystal Isak, a clutch 9.9.
Abby is beautiful on balance beam. Really nice form and execution. Nice attention to the details that make balance beam beautiful. Nice bail to handstand. There's that piked toe up on the uneven bars. Just an unusual transition. Nice to see. Very nice full twisting double tuck. Love that she was able to keep those knees together.
They are pumped up, the Sun Devils. A great start in this first rotation in round 2 of the NCAA regionals. Their best event, and boy, did they rock it. Samantha Smith on floor now for Boise State after Adriana Pop, a 9.775.
Opens with an open double pike.
On vault now is one of the individual athletes who's competing today from Northern Illinois. This is junior Tara Kaufmel from Mesa, Arizona. She was their MVP this season. Scored well. She'll be in the all-around today.
Very nice. Yurchenko half looked a little bit offline. You need to land right directly in line with the table.
Kathy, it's really great how each of these teams, when they have a individual athlete join them at the end of their lineup, whether they're an all-arounder or an individual specialist, the teams really embrace having that individual with them, don't they?
Absolutely. I love this part of gymnastics in the NCAA. They're so supportive of each other.
Adrian Randall for Utah on beam.
Keep in mind, Utah has the one fall. That's the score they hope to drop. So these are must-hit routines. Very solid.
Randall, the junior from Corona, California. Season high 9.925, and she got that at the Pac-12 championships a couple of weeks ago.
She had a little balance check after that sheep jump. This is a nice skill here. Full twisting, back handspring swing down. It's called a Rafolda. Staying very calm, very composed. I've only seen the one balance break, and it was a small check. Round off 1.5 twist, strong finish. Tall handling handling this pressure. Opening on beam is never easy, and when you have a fall that you have to recover from earlier in the lineup, this is great experience, because this is the kind of pressure you have to be able to not just handle, but actually embrace and thrive on.
Courtney Blackson opening up on floor for Boise State after Samantha Smith, a 9.5 only. And by the way, Cairo Leonard Baker, she finished off the bars rotation for Arizona State with an outstanding 9.95.
She opened with an E pass, that front double full. Now we'll see a whip half to a front full. Really cool pass right here. Would like to see a little bit more amplitude. Are also very important. The judges pay close attention to where their feet take off, and if it's supposed to be a full turn in the air, they have to land facing the same direction they took off.
Miley O'Keefe now mounting the beam for Utah after Adrienne Randall had a 9.9, so a crucial routine here, and Miley O'Keefe is the person who can do it.
This is a huge opportunity for Utah and Miley. She can strive for utter perfection on this event. She is exquisitely trained. Beautiful balance beam work. Her side aerial to layout step out. Absolutely perfect.
Regular season All-American. She scored a perfect 10 this season on beam. Well deserved. And an all-around score of 39.725 ranks her as one of the best all-arounders in the country. Just a sophomore out of Las Vegas.
Those leaps were just gorgeous. The back leg in particular. So few gymnasts really get the height, the level of that back leg up and keep it up while maintaining form. So, well done.
The score they're trying to replace for Utah is the 9.0 for Lucy Stanhope. So anything more than a 9.0 will raise their team score. But of course, they're expecting big numbers here from O'Keefe, and they're going to get it. Wow!
That was an outstanding routine. And I will say there has been a 10.0 so far in the regionals. Luisa Blanco of Alabama, who was utter perfection. So I think it's very, very possible. That was a beautifully executed balance beam routine.
We were talking to Tom Farden, the head coach at Utah, the other day, and we were talking particularly about Miley, and he said all credit goes to the Salcianus, the Romanian family that has a gymnastic club in Las Vegas. He said her foundational training is superb, and he said we're just taking advantage of the good work that they had done before she came to Utah. He was very happy to credit their hard work in building the foundation for Miley O'Keefe. Maddie Nielsen now will be the final performer on floor for Boise State. The score they'd like to drop would be a 9.025, the one for El Kabshi. They need a big score here.
And this fifth-year senior, this is a fun, playful routine. If you're having a bad day, this will put a smile on your face. She is so joyful in this routine. Very nice position. Oh, little bit awkward on the landing out of the second jump. And this is where I expect Meryl Streep to pop out and everybody start dancing Mamma Mia. This is so much fun. And nice height on the pike double at the end. Great finish
Outstanding.
for Boise on floor. Coach Patty Resnick does all the music and choreography for Boise State and really has done a nice job this year.
Tina Bird, their head coach, after Neil Resnick retired back in 2019. Ivan Alexov also part of that coaching staff. One final performer in rotation 1, and that's Anna Kaziska from Southeast Missouri. She's competing here as an individual.
Bart, I know you were just doing what I was doing, scanning over all the scores with these 4 events going on simultaneously. It's hard to process all the scores coming in, and great finish for Utah over on balance beam. The last 4 competitors were just stellar.
Score is in, by the way, for Miley O'Keefe. It was a 9.95, so they replaced a 9.0 with a 9.95, and that means Utah with a 49.55 will lead after the first rotation. Arizona State with an outstanding 49.325 on bars in second. 48.725 is the score for Southern Utah on vault, and we will compile the final score for Boise State when we get it. But here is the junior from Louisville, Kentucky, Anna Kaziska, who competes for Southeast Missouri.
Opens with a front double twist. Nice job trying to control that landing, difficult landing. Switch side to straddle full. It's a wonderful opportunity for these individuals competing for just one spot on each event, one spot in the all-arounder, and it will go to the highest scorer on a non-advancing team. A little bit complicated. We won't know till the very end once we know which teams actually qualify out of regionals. Back 1.5. Nice amplitude on that pass. Really nice amplitude on her front tumbling passes. And strong finish.
So that will wrap up the competition in the first rotation. Utah and Arizona State are first and second. Boise State trails by .275, and Southern Utah is 0.6 out of second place. We'll be focusing a lot on that second place spot because that's the top 2 teams advanced to tomorrow's regional final. Here is the balance beam rankings around the country. Florida and Oklahoma and Utah, the top 3, and Utah with a 49.588 certainly didn't disappoint today. They had a 49.55 right on target with their national average. Arizona State did an outstanding job on bars, and Juliette Boyer was great.
Beautiful transitions, nice level of difficulty in all the routines. Love the form and the amplitude on that dismount.
Cairo Leonard Baker.
Finish strong. Look at the height of that dismount. Finish the skill up above the level of the high bar. Well done.
Clutch event here for Utah was Crystal Issa after Lucy Stanhope fell and only got a 9.0.
And this is what a true beam team does. They have their teammates back. If there's a fall, The next four up just did their job in stellar fashion with near perfection from Miley O'Keefe.
So here's where we are after the first rotation. The top two teams, as expected, Utah and Arizona State, based on their qualifying scores. And you see some of the highlights there. When we come back to the Maverick Center here in Utah, we'll move on to the second rotation. Boise State will be on vault, Southern Utah on the bars, Arizona State goes to the beam, and Utah goes to the floor where they are spectacular. You're not going to want to miss that. In the National Championship, April 17th on ABC. That's 2 weeks from now, and of course, all of what happens this weekend will result in who gets to go on to that National Championship. They're whittling it down from 36 teams to just 8 by the end of this weekend. So here is the Session 1 summary so far after the first rotation. Utah, as expected, leads by .225, but they were under pressure to hit those last few beam routines. Arizona State had a big score from Cairo Leonard Baker, a 9.95 season high on bars. They're currently in second. Look at that, 4 scores of 9.9 or better for Utah. And Boise State, Maciato had a career high of 9.825. So currently it's Utah, Arizona State, Boise State, and Southern Utah. And in this rotation, you see where these teams are currently ranked. We noticed that Utah opened beam where they're ranked 3rd in the country. They're also top rank here on floor. They're 4th in the country. And Kathy, we've seen their floor routines, and they're just superbly clean, aren't they?
I am excited to see these floor routines. New to the program this year is Courtney McGriffith, the volunteer assistant coach, and she is excellent in communicating with the athletes on floor exercise. She was a beautiful performer herself. Her attention to detail and perfection, I think, is evident in these routines.
One more minute of this, what's called the one-touch warm-up. Essentially, the athletes get roughly 30 seconds per athlete to touch the apparatus before they go and compete. They give them a little longer on bars because it takes a little longer to set the uneven bars for each individual gymnast. Here's a few news and notes from the first round. Boy, we were just heartbroken the other day, Kathy, when we found out that number 15 Auburn was ruled out of the regionals due to COVID protocols. And then we found out a couple of days later that Temple, who was going to be in the play-in meet here against Arizona, is out as a complete team, although they're a few individual qualifiers still eligible to participate later today. And so yeah, there's a lot of drama this year, Kathy, but I have to say hats off to these teams, to the conferences, to the coaches, to the athletic directors for putting on what has been a remarkably successful season in the middle of a pandemic. Only a few interruptions and cancellations out of really hundreds and hundreds of competitions, Kathy.
I couldn't have said it any better, Bart. I'm so proud of all these athletes, the coaches, the programs, the lengths they went to keep each other safe, to figure it out, how they could manage this season, travel to competition, and be at their best as we approach postseason.
In the upper left corner, Hope Maciato for Boise State is on the vault. Nikki Thomas will be for Southern Utah on the bars.
Wow, nice height and distance on that opening vault for Boise State. Yurchenko full, that's a 9.95 start value.
Megan Thompson for Arizona State opening up on beam, and Adrienne Randall for Utah on the floor in this second rotation.
Balance beam is Arizona State's lowest ranked event. It's where they've been the least consistent. Very nice routine. Nice double layout and stuck landing for Southern Utah. Good leadoff routine on balance beam. finishes with high double back. Look at the stuck landing on that pass. Combination pass for the third run. Good amplitude on the first element. The layout could have been a little bit higher to finish.
Maddie Nelson now for Boise State on vault after Hope Masiato led them off with a 9.8.
It was a good vault in the air, but a huge pogo stick style hop on that landing. They're going to hit her pretty significantly for that hop.
Jasmine Gutierrez getting notes on her beam routine before she goes for Arizona State.
And this is the type of weight that the athletes prepare for mentally. Sometimes there will be delays. There will be a judges conference, and you have to be able to manage that as you stand up. You've already prepared. Now you have to sort of reset.
9.85 is her season high. Competed only 5 times for them on beam this season. The junior from Murrieta, California. Bobby Schwartz is on the bars for Southern Utah.
Nice job with the handstand. Full pirouette was a little bit past vertical and a hop on the landing. Back handspring layout, step out on the beam, just a step back out of it. Didn't quite show that finish position.
Megan Thompson led Arizona State off on beam with a 9.775.
Nice job with that full twisting back handspring swing down on beam. Abby Paulson on floor.
Score is in for Adrienne Randall. It's a 9.85 for Utah. Lead off on floor.
Opens on floor with a front layout, front full. And a big step on the landing for balance beam. Watch the height on this tumbling run. It's a 2.5 twist. Very well done. A little bit large on the step. It's such clean form in the air. Beautiful split position in these leaps. Maintains that toe point at the very top. Nicely done. A little bit rushed on the uneven bars up there. Needs to settle down, really milk these positions, especially these handstand positions. Little deep knee bend on the landing, but she fought to not move the feet.
Hannah Knipp from Southern Utah. She's third up. Emily Lopez now for Boise State on vault.
Very nicely done. Yurchenko full. Looked like she might have been slightly offline.
Score for her teammate before her, Tessa Otuafi, had a 9.7. So Boise State has a 9.8, 9.75, and 9.7 so far on vault. Back to the beam now. Gracie Reeves set to go for Arizona State.
Gracie does a triple series right here. 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. Judges are looking for not just the solid, secure landings after these skills, but while they're in flight, you want to see straight legs, pointed toes throughout the entire range of motion. Of course, they want to see amplitude lift off the beam in the acro elements as well as the leaps.
Samantha Smith will be the next vaulter for Boise State.
Arizona State's giving up a little bit on the landings. They're taking these steps on balance beam landings.
Here goes Smith. And on bars, Shailin Murakami from Southern Utah.
Good block off the table, good distance from the table on that Yurchenko full.
On floor for Utah is Lucy Stanhope from England.
Really nice amplitude on that release move on bars. Lucy will open with an E element. This is a tucked full twisting double back.
Two 9.85s in a row for Utah for Randall and Paulson, their two leadoff performers.
Needs to be a little bit more refined in those shapes on her leaps.
Emily White now for Arizona State on beam. Score is in for Gracie Reeves, a 9.725 for ASU on beam.
Slight balance check. And back handspring layout on beam. Beautiful height, amplitude on that vault. 1.5 twist, 10.0 start value for Boise. Nice.
Courtney Blackson coming after a 9.8 for Samantha Smith. Good scores for Boise State. 3 9.8s, 9.7 and a 9.75. That should score well for Blackson.
Emily White has become so much more consistent on this event. Like the little details in this routine. Love the toe point. Strong fin. Oh, there's that step. It's almost like a mandatory step right now on those dismounts. Got to see a little bit more fight to try to hold that landing.
Caitlin Coe now for Southern Utah on bars after Shailin Murakami got a 9.8.
Ooh, released just a little bit early on that dismount. You could hear it off the bars, but she pulled off a stick. A pretty good controlled landing.
Jaden Rucker getting a few notes on floor before she goes from Courtney McCool Griffith. Of course, she herself an outstanding collegiate, Courtney McCool. And she has really taken a lot of pride in the good work that she's done with this team. She and her husband, Garrett, are coaches out there at Utah and doing just an outstanding job in just their second year there.
See another full twisting double back here. Oop. Can't tell if she went over the line. She was certainly on it and perhaps over it.
It's just like tennis. If you're on the line, it's in. If you're over the line, it's out.
Switch half, nice positions in those leaps. showing that full 180-degree split, a requirement on floor exercise.
Rucker has a season high of 9.95. She got that at the Pac-12 championships. As Hannah Sharp takes to the beam now for Arizona State after Emily White got their 9.75.
Starts the routine with a double wolf turn on beam. Front layout to front full. A little bit of a leg up, balance check on balance beam.
ASU yet to break into the 9/8s on beam so far. Mason Bentley on bars for Southern Utah with a big release.
A little bit short on both her cast handstands in this routine. Lost a little bit of toe form, but finished strong with a double layout. Very well done. Finishes with a round. There's the stick I've been looking for. Way to finish strong.
Hannah Sharp has been the MVP for Arizona State this year without question. Breakout season, no question about it. All around in every meet, ranked 16th in the country. Regular season All-American. Just a sophomore from Barrie, Ontario, Canada. See over on bars, Tara Kaufmel from Northern Illinois getting a few notes before she competes as an individual. Southern Utah has completed their team rotation over there. Boise State, of course, is finished with vault because that event goes much quicker than these others. Looks like there is a conference on the floor. That's holding up Miley O'Keefe before she is allowed to go. Kathy, it might be a good time to talk about the inquiry procedure in collegiate gymnastics. Why don't you fill us in on the details of this?
A judge can file an inquiry if they disagree with the score, but only with respect to start value, whether an athlete completed a skill and was given credit for that skill, or an out of bounds, a neutral call. They can challenge that as well. But this is before the score is even coming in. I think they're trying to determine whether in fact she stepped over the line or was on it.
I don't blame these coaches for fighting for every tenth of a point, as we have seen a lot of intensities in regionals. Now each team can present a video for review. They have to record it themselves, and they can analyze whether, and they're talking to the meet referee about whether she stepped completely over the line,
but that,
which would
that
result in an
video
additional
review
tenth of a point.
is usually at the end of, it usually happens at the end. I've never seen them try to figure it out in the moment.
Miley O'Keefe now.
Beautiful form on that pike double back. I love when the athlete can keep the toes pointed in those tumbling passes.
Sarah Clark will be last performer for Arizona State on beam after Hannah Sharp had their best score rate, 9.825.
Beautiful front layout to front full. Look at the polish on these poses and these shapes in the air on her leap, showing off the full split and maintaining perfectly straight legs and pointed toes.
They have just adjusted the score for Hannah Sharp on beam. Now it's a 9.725. And that brings up Sarah Clark.
Layout absolutely gorgeous on floor. So it's hard to catch Miley O'Keefe in a bad position. She just maintains perfect form and execution throughout. Triple series
Ooh,
on
and a
beam,
fall
and
on beam.
unfortunately, lovely position on those leaps and jumps. Unfortunately, Arizona State really has been stuck in that 9.7 to 9.775 range. They haven't broken into the 9.8s, and they won't here because of the fall.
Yeah, just little deductions here and there, Kathy. The steps on the landings and
that was the big thing.
Yes.
I've seen some good balance beam work, but not getting these landings at the end of the routine is something that just adds up.
as you mentioned earlier, they're ranked 20th in the country on beam. This is a very young team. 13 of their 18 athletes, freshmen and sophomores. And they have come a long way this year. The best regular season finish since 2006. And Jay Santos and his wife Jessica, they've been in charge of that program for 5 years. Really proud of how his team delivered all year long. They're excited to be in the postseason, of course, something that none of them have experienced before. Sydney Solosky
with a full energy, highly entertaining routine. Double layout to begin, kept that heel up, good for her, did not step out of bounds. You may have to take a little bit for the slightly large step out of the tumbling pass.
Scores in for Miley O'Keefe for Utah on floor. It's a 9.9. So the lowest score is a 9.75 up to a 9.9, and Solosky herself has scored as much as 9.975 this year. First team All-American on this event. Ooh.
1.5 to front layout, good control. Her best landing of all three passes right there. Showed off the difficulty with that first pass and the E double layout. She has really learned how to show off this routine and also finesse those landings, because it's all about not getting those deductions, not those giveaway deductions.
Solosky, the senior from Calgary, Alberta, one of the three tri-captains on this team, along with Alexia Birch and Emily LeBlanc.
Teams, please remember to maintain physical distance and to be mindful of staying in your designated corrals. Gymnasts, please transition to your next event. Utah to go.
Take a look at some highlights from this second rotation. Boise State did a nice job.
Samantha Smith with a big full twisting Yurchenko. And Courtney Blackson, watch this. Yurchenko 1.5 twist. Great air awareness there to find that landing pretty well.
Arizona State, Megan Thompson led them off in the 9.775. Anna Sharp, a 9.725.
And came up big time, got that stuck landing there for her team.
Looks like the score just came in for Sarah Clark, the final performer for Arizona State on beam, only a 9.15. So that's the score that they will drop. So we've completed the second of 4 rotations here at the Maverick Center in Utah. Round 2 of the NCAA Regionals. We will update the scores when we come. Welcome back to the Maverick Center in Salt Lake City here. The NCAA Gymnastics Championship. What we're having here today, there's 4 regionals going on around the country. In this region, West Valley City, Utah, we have these teams in the second round. Right now we're watching Utah, Arizona State, Boise State, and Southern Utah. And tonight at 9 Eastern on the ESPN app, you'll see LSU, Kentucky, Utah State, and Arizona. 2 teams from each of these 2 second-round sessions will advance to tomorrow night's regional final. So after the first rotation, Utah led by .225. They've extended their lead to .8 at the halfway point in this meet, and that is firmly in control. Boise State, 4 scores of 9.8 or better on vault. Southern Utah. Bentley had a 9.9 career high in their anchor performance. And Arizona State was just a little bit shaky, couldn't break into the 9.8s on beam. And Utah 2 9.9s for O'Keefe and Soloski in that second rotation. So Utah has the lead, but Boise State moved into second by 5/100ths of a point over ASU. And Kathy, as we said at the top of the show, the most important headline is first and second. And the battle between who's going to be that second spot into tomorrow's regional final is critical. Now, Boise State, they'll be on bars in this next rotation. That's their best event. What an opportunity for them.
I had already highlighted this rotation. For that reason alone, Boise State on bars is going to be stellar. Emily Mullenhoff is ranked 4th nationally, so she has a chance to qualify as an individual if by chance her team doesn't go all the way through to nationals on this event. But they are stellar. They are so well trained, and huge opportunity for them in this rotation.
Individuals are taking their last one-touch warm-up in this rotation. Utah be on the vault. Boise State, as you mentioned, on the bars. Southern Utah will be on the beam, and Arizona State on the floor. A lot of gymnastics going on today with the regionals in Georgia, and Tuscaloosa, and Morgantown. And, we've never covered the regionals before. We were supposed to do it last year, Kathy, but I'm really enjoying this because I know that the audience, maybe if you're a fan of Southern Utah, the Flippin' Birds, I said that on TV, by the way. If you're the fan of them, you get to see every routine from your favorite team in this quad box format. And this is just a wonderful way to celebrate these amazing athletes here as we round out this incredible season under the circumstances of a pandemic. On beam, Shylin Murakami for Southern Utah. Gracie Reeves on floor for Arizona State. Crystal Issa for Utah just completed her vault, and Gabrielle Cavinta for Boise State will open them up on the bars.
Arizona State is ranked 17th on floor exercise. They have some ground to make up, and they're going up against Boise right now for that number 2 qualifying spot. Boise's up there on their best event. Opens with a 2.5 twist on floor. Very nice amplitude up there on the bars. Wow, what a handstand position there. Double layout, just a scoot back on that landing. Good start for Boise.
Cavinta had a season high of 9.9 this year, the senior from Rio Rico, Arizona. Tammy Hall will be the next vaulter for Utah. Excuse me, Kathy. Crystal Issa has completed her vault. This is Tammy Hall.
A solid start for Arizona State on floor. They have to pay close attention to these landings. All of their tumbling passes, they really have to control them, not give away those tenths of a point as they did on balance beam with the landings. Yurchenko 1.5 twist, big 10-0 start value vault, but also a big step on that landing.
Been some scoring updates, and Arizona State now trails Boise State by 1/10, currently in third. Shylin Murakami has completed, and this is Rachel Smith on beam for Southern Utah. Murakami scores in 9.775.
Courtney Blackson over on the uneven bars. She wants to become a firefighter. Look how aggressive she is in this routine.
Wow.
Beautiful execution on that Barkalov. I knew you were going to love that, Bart.
I love it. Oh, nice.
Double. Oh, too bad. Did not quite get the landing she wanted on that double layout.
Gabriela Cavinta led off Boise State on bars with an impressive 9.85.
Unfortunately, that was a little bit of a missed opportunity right there because that was a huge routine Courtney Blackson had going. Just couldn't quite get a great landing on the dismount.
Miley O'Keefe will be next up for Utah on vault.
And these gymnasts performing the Yurchenko full on vault. It's a 9.95 start value, so their whole goal is to go big and show a beautiful execution to try to maximize and get as high a score as possible, because they already start with that half-tenth lower than the 1.5 twist, the more difficult vault. Miley does a beautiful Yurchenko full. Very pretty execution.
Here goes O'Keefe.
Oh, just a little step on the landing. I loved how she took that deep breath right before she ran down the runway. I thought for sure a stick was coming. It was close, but not quite.
Maddie Nielsen on bars for Boise State.
Look at the amplitude on that release move. A little bit rushed on the bail to handstand on low bar. Double layup, there's the landing. Well done.
Jasmine Gutierrez on floor, Arizona State.
Jasmine open with a 2.5 twist.
Carly McLean for Southern Utah on beam. Rachel Smith before her a 9.65 after Shylin Murakami had a 9.775.
Execution here on balance beam. Nice to see. Finishes strong. Gainer full off the side. Well done.
For Utah on vault, Lucy Stanhope waiting her turn. Miley O'Keefe's score is now in. It's a 9.85. Emily Lopez will be on bars for Boise State.
Giant blind to a piked Jaeger. That's an E release skill. Very excited about that landing over there on vault. Double layout, dismount on bars. Really good job finding the landings here for Boise State. Looking at the vault scores, doing a great job over there by Utah. Boise State really hitting these bar routines. Well, only one slight missed opportunity on the second spot.
They've had a 9.85, a 9.8, a 9.85. And gymnast you were talking about, Emily Muhlenhaupt, is coming up next. Jaden Rucker for Utah, set to go on vault after we get the score for Lucy Stanhope.
Very secure on balance beam. This is exactly what they need. They've been a little bit unsteady so far on the rotation.
Sarah Clark on floor for Arizona State.
Can't miss routine on bars right here. She strives for absolute perfection. Beautiful swing. Perfect handstands. Look at the toe point.
Oh
and
my.
Wow, amplitude. Oh. Finesse that final handstand. I love the way she taps into that double layout. That is unusually superb technique. Whoop.
Emily Lopez before that on Boise State from Muhlenhaupt had a 9.9. So you're right, Kathy. Boise State with a slight lead over Arizona State from that second spot in this regional, extending their lead likely on bars with some outstanding performances. And they have one more performer to go. That's Talia Little. Final vaulter for Utah, Lexi Birch. All their scores are 9.8 to 9.875.
This should be another 1.5 twist, 10-0 start value. Wow, almost got that landing. Back-to-back flight skills on the uneven bars. Beautiful final cast to handstand. Double out, took it out a little bit, but got the landing.
She drilled it.
That's not easy to do. I thought she'd missed the release point just a little bit. When that dismount goes out, it's often hard to find a stuck landing, but she dropped it like a dart.
9.8 was the score for Sarah Clark on floor for Arizona State. This is Jada Mangenhaus.
Nice high, full twisting double back.
Final score for Utah in that vault rotation, Lexi Birch had a 9.85. All of their scores between 9.8 and 9.875 in the third rotation for the Red Rocks.
Fights to stay in bounds. That flag almost went up. I'm glad it didn't because she stayed on the line. Needs a little bit higher leg on those wolf jumps.
Hernandez for Southern Utah on beam.
That back leg up high enough on the split jump and did a very difficult sheep jump. Oh. Save the fall. Put a break like that is a very significant deduction. Anytime you bend over at the waist to keep from falling. Gainer full, got the stick.
For her, Carly McLean in 9.85, Emma Wisman 9.825.
You may have noticed the disappointment on Emily Muhlenhop's face after that bar routine. She wasn't quite her usual spectacular self, scored a 9.875.
A lineup change for Southern Utah on the beam. Aubrey Schwartz was their final performer.
Opens with a front through to a double back.
Every score 9.8 to 9.85 for Arizona State on floor so far. So here's the story. Boise State with a season high on bars. Talia Little a 9.9 at the end of that rotation. That means regardless of what Arizona State scores in these final two performers, Boise State will be in second place going into the fourth and final rotation. Remember, the battle here is really for second. It looks like Utah firmly in control for first, but the second place team will advance along with Utah into the regional final tomorrow night.
Beautiful pike double back to finish that routine. Arizona State's doing a great job coming back on floor exercise, putting up good numbers. All of them so far between 9.825, 9.8 and 9.85.
Eric Hoffmel from Northern Illinois competing as an individual after Aubrey Schwartz notched a 9.7. So Southern Utah solid on beam, their lowest score a 9.65 all the way up to a 9.85 for Carly McLean.
Tara's going to repeat the leap series to get credit for that. Beautiful extension through her feet and toe point. Big hop on the landing, unfortunately. But with 4 judges now scoring, we're seeing more conferences, the judges' scores have to be in line. They have to agree on the start value, and that start value is based on fulfilling all the basic requirements, the difficulty requirements, the special requirements for that event, and then earning their full bonus points by extra difficulty and connecting skills for connection bonus. So the judges aren't just sitting there looking for the little errors that gymnasts can make for the deduction, but also tabulating every element of difficulty, every connection, determining whether they get credit.
Cairo Leonard Baker, their anchor performer after Hannah Sharp, had a 9.925. Baker getting a few notes there from first-year assistant coach Kristen White, the former Oklahoma Sooner.
Opens with her combination pass, back 1.5 to front full. Difficult leap series she has coming up.
Kathy, you're right. This Arizona State team has done an outstanding job on floor after showing a little bit of nerves on beam. This is good.
There's that leap series. Trigite half. The Wolf 1.5.
Zoe Schroeder competing as an individual from Northern Illinois. A senior from Champlin, Minnesota. A fall on beam, unfortunately. Schroeder was second place on beam at the MAC Championship with a 9.875. Whoa.
Chest down just a little bit. She finessed the landing, but I think they're going to have to take a deduction for a slight under rotation, a little bit of flex feet. Nice finish. Unfortunately, a fall on her specialty.
Well, that wraps up the action in the third of 4 rotations. Utah firmly in control here, but the battle between Boise State and Arizona State heating up. Kathy, you said that you were looking forward to Boise State on this event, and you were none of us were disappointed, were we?
I did. They were so well prepared to come in here and attack these routines. Fought for everything, all the handstands, the landings. Really showed off great technique. Their basic training is huge. And that was the little bit of an error from Emily's otherwise spectacular routine.
Talia Little had the 9.9 season high.
What an anchor routine. Fought all the way to the end. Stayed tough on that landing.
Miley O'Keefe.
Showing off elegance and control with a Yurchenko full for Miley O'Keefe. And then a big 1.5 twist.
Utah with no scores in the 9.9 range on vault, but solid, and they are comfortably in the lead here. We have completed 3 of 4 rotations. We'll set up the 4th and final rotation when we come back. This is going to be close. Arizona State and Boise State fighting for that second spot. Welcome back to Utah for the regional competition today, round 2. Earlier today, in the other regionals, Minnesota, Denver advanced from the regional final that was based in Athens, and Denver just edged out the host team, Georgia, to earn a spot to compete in tomorrow night's regional final. Cal and Ohio State advanced from the Morgantown regional, and they will compete tomorrow night in their final. BYU is the first national seed that was eliminated in that contest. Alabama and Arkansas advanced to the Tuscaloosa regional final, and Luisa Blanco and Makari Doggett 10s on bars and beam for the host team, the Crimson Tide, really coming into their form here late in the season as they won the SEC championship 2 weeks ago. So after the first rotation, Utah led by .225. Then they led by .8. They still hold the lead by .625, and Boise State made it a little closer after that superb rotation on the bars. All the scores for Utah in the vault of that rotation were 9-8 or better. Lopez and Little had 9 9s for Boise State on bars. McLean had a 9.85 for Southern Utah on beam. High score for Arizona State on floor was Gutierrez's 9.85, which for her was a career high. So that sets up the fourth and final rotation, and as we have seen, all the drama comes down to second place, Kathy, as we look at the leading all-arounders competing in today's competition. And this is another good time to bring up the differential between team competition and individual competition. Who makes it through to the NCAAs, Kathy?
So the top 2 teams will go to the NCAAs, and after tomorrow's competition, we will know the 2 teams that are moving on, and the top finisher in the all-around and on every event who are not on those advancing teams will be the individual qualifier to the Nationals.
And those are the scores from today. They're not the scores. You can't have any individual or all-around qualifier from tomorrow. So those individual and all-around spots, there will be 4 all-arounders and 1 individual on each apparatus from all 4 regionals will compete with the teams that make it to the NCAA semifinals. I know it's complicated, but it's a good system, and I know this is the second year they've used it, Kathy, and it all comes down to 4 teams on the floor at the final night of the national championships, and we'll be in Dickies Arena on ABC covering that. It should be a thriller, so the format does lead to exciting competition. Here it is, the fourth and final rotation. Southern Utah on the floor, Arizona State on vault, Utah on the bars. Boise State moves to the beam.
Abby Paulson on bars for Utah. Jada Mangajas on vault, opens up with the Yurchenko full. Well done for Arizona State.
Aubrey Schwartz, the first vaulter for first floor performer for Southern Utah. Emily Lopez for Boise State on beam. There have been a couple of adjustments on scores. And back in the second rotation. So here are the updated scores. Boise State with a .15 lead over Arizona State. That would be an upset because based on their rankings, Arizona State and Utah should advance. Arizona State ranked 11th in the country, and Boise State ranked 17th in the country if this result holds true to the end of this competition. But once again, Boise State on the perilous beam in this rotation.
Absolutely, and if you look at their season scores up to this point, Arizona State is ranked 13th in the nation on vault, so they have the advantage in this final rotation to make up the ground they need to. Boise State is ranked 31st in the country, but it's balance beam. So if they can pull together their absolute best string of 6 routines, really 5, because you count 5 scores, they can stay in the conversation.
Jada Mangajas, a 9.825 for Arizona State on vault. Emily White.
Very, very clean Yurchenko full. She did hop forward, so she was slightly under-rotated.
Alani Sabado on bars for Utah.
Nice transition down to low, right to that handstand position. Really attacking these handstands beautifully on bars. Step back on the landing. Solid routine, though.
Abby Paulson led Utah off with a 9.85, a career high for her there.
Interesting mount on one shoulder on the balance beam.
This is Hope Maciado.
Oh no!
Ooh.
It's a fall on balance beam. Now the pressure is really on. Finishes strong,
Aubrey
but
Schwartz.
unfortunately, that will be the score they hope to drop.
Aubrey Schwartz finishing up for Southern Utah on floor. Cassie Barbanente, Arizona State.
Big full. It was a big hop on the landing. That should be the most significant of the deductions. It was pretty clean in the air.
Lexi Birch on bars for Utah.
A few little form things in this routine, but hitting the big elements, got the handstands right on top, and the all-important control on the landing was a little bit of a scooch hop back.
Birch, the senior from Sparks, Nevada. She never competed on even bars until this year. And this is the one event where Utah says they don't have as much depth as they do on the other three.
Bart, I think this is when the coaches are so proud of their athletes, some of them stepping into lineups they haven't had to in the past.
Hannah Scharf will be the next vaulter for Arizona State. They have a 9.825, a 9.85. They do not yet have the score for Barbanente.
Hannah has the potential to get a very good score here. She gets nice amplitude and she opens it out. If she's really on, gets a good block. Opens those arms out, shows that flare position.
I love those air high fives. That's great. Everybody doing their best. They got tested before they traveled here. When they got here, they'll get tested again tomorrow. So all of these teams doing their best to maintain the safest possible conditions to have a quality competition, as is our crew. Emily LeBlanc for Utah on bars after Lexi Birch, a 9.875.
That first half of the lineup really did their job for Utah on bars. Little bit of a scoot back on that landing. You're right, she was a little close to the bar. Gabriela Caventa on beam, really handling the pressure. Love the toe point, the extension in her loops.
Need a good hit routine here for Boise State on beam. Hope Maciado score only a 9.05. That's the one they're going to want to drop.
Athlete to front aerial, very secure, right into the beat jump. She has been superb so far. Gainer Pike, little hop on that landing.
Big ball for Cairo Leonard Baker. For Arizona State coming after Hannah Scharf, got a 9.9 for that excellent execution.
O'Keefe on bars, beautifully transitioning from bar to bar with excellent form. Hit that handstand pirouette right in the handstand position. Well done. Milks the last handstand. And a double Arabian, just a little hop on the landing. Really pretty routine.
Miley O'Keefe just had an outstanding day, as she has all year long. Remember, they're also be honoring athletes with an all-around victory. She is certainly one of the contenders and probably the leader in the all-around today with those four just very balanced gymnasts. If you go back now to vault, the score came in for Anna Sharp, as I mentioned, was a 9-9. Cairo Leonard Baker, a 9.825. And this is Anaya Smith, the final vaulter for Arizona State.
And this is their most
Boise State will know what they
explosive
need.
vault in the lineup. It's a 1.5 twist. Well done. Just that step, they'll have to deduct for that. But great amplitude and the most difficult vault in the lineup.
Just a freshman from Laurel, Maryland, at a 9.925 a couple of times this year, including the Pac-12 championships 2 weeks ago. So Arizona State finishing very strong on vault.
Very insecure on the landing.
Update the scores for Boise State here on beam as Erin El-Tabchi goes. Gabriela Cavinta, a 9.825. Hope Masiato, 9.05. Lily Lopez led them off with a 9.85. So once we get the score from Arizona State's Anaya Smith, Boise State will know exactly what they need to stay ahead of ASU to move on to the regional finals tomorrow. Crystal Issa on bars for Utah at the same time.
Very nice finish on balance beam. Unfortunately, in the routine, she was let the nerves get to her just a little bit, so a couple of insecure landings.
Crystal Issa finishes up for Utah, firmly in control of the victory today. There's no question there. Over on vault, Deja Chambliss from George Washington University, competing here on vault, the junior from Chesterfield, Virginia.
Throwing a Yurchenko full. Beautiful flare position in the air. Finished it high above the table. Nicely done. I just saw a little bit of form, the round-off entry on the vault, and of course the slight hop back.
She had a 9.85 on vault at the EAGL meet this year. Her season high at 9.9. Nice job here in the NCAA regional for the junior from George Washington University.
Little chest down landing on floor exercise. There's Rachel Smith. We have previous scores of 9.875 and 9.85 for Southern Utah on floor exercise. Arizona State can be really pleased with how well they did on their last event.
Adriana Pop now for Boise State on beam. If Boise State can average just over 9.8 the last three performances on beam, they can advance to the regional final tomorrow, edging out Arizona State.
Difficult series, really difficult. I was just about to say this tiny and power-packed gymnast is going to do some ambitious difficulty. And had she hit it, absolutely it would pay off. Unfortunately, it is another fall.
That means Boise State will have to count one fall since they've had two. You count the best 5 out of 6 scores. Unfortunate.
Gainer full. Oh, too bad. I mean, good for her, good for the coach to let her go out there and try to go for it, because this is when you're shooting the moon. That's a huge routine, very difficult pass on beam. Unfortunately, it didn't swing to her favor.
Adriana Pop, the sophomore from Easton, Pennsylvania, had a 9.9 at the MRGC Conference Championship, and she is the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference champion. Just unlucky on that performance today. Emily Muhlenhaupt will be their final performer for Boise State on beam, and then we'll have Anna Kaziska from Southeast Missouri.
Yeah, very hopeful for Emily Muhlenhaupt to finish strong on balance beam. Very unfortunate little hand slip. It was a minor little thing on uneven bars, but it will keep her out of qualifying for nationals on her specialty, the bars. But an opportunity here, and this is what I love about gymnastics, that the toughness of these athletes, the resilience. Because no doubt she is certainly disappointed about bars. She has lovely execution on this event. Beautiful extension. Nice straight legs, pointed toes, all the little things that should mean much more in terms of score, in my opinion, but
Kayla Horton on floor for Southern Utah. Had good scores over there so far, 9.8, 7.5, 9.85 for their first two athletes.
very difficult leaps and jumps in this routine. Showed the full split, showed nice shape in the air. Just gorgeous beam posture and more than straight legs. Little hop on the landing, but good for her. Glad to see her come back so strong on balance beam.
So Arizona State, they have completed vault. They have a 196.6. Utah with a 197.5. And as we noted, Boise State had to average over 9.8 with their final two beamers. And with the fall, that won't happen this year for Boise State.
And this is when you look at the national qualifying scores coming into regionals, they really do indicate where a team is at on each event, how they have performed, how consistently they've performed throughout the season. So it was a big ask, a big step up for Boise State to really be able to come up with those big numbers and hit routines. And sometimes you can put a little too much pressure and try to do more instead of being normal. That's kind of the pressure we were talking about that just happens at regionals.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic because there's a lot to lose if you're one of the favorite teams and, two falls on beam and all of a sudden you're staying home and you're not even going to the national championship. It happened a couple of years ago to one of the best teams in the country, Florida. And the type of pressure at these regionals is different than the regular season. It's a survive and thrive kind of mentality. And Arizona State, they were a little bit shaky, couldn't get their landings on beam, but they hung together and scored in the high 9.7s, a couple of the 9.8s, but they came back strong and finished strong to stay ahead.
You're right. That's the difference in they made no major mistakes. Those were smaller flaws, but they can add up in a really close meet. And we'll certainly see that in the finals tomorrow when we get the top 4 teams from today. 2 from this session, 2 from next session.
This is Annika Ziska from Southeast Missouri, the junior. Out of Louisville, Kentucky, competed on beam in all 9 meets this season for SEMO.
And she's doing a fantastic job, really staying poised, confident, very secure, very soft on those landings, leaps, in beautiful position, maintaining the toe point in those leaps.
SEMO competes in the Midwest Independent Conference, and she's all MIC this year.
And she's done a fine job.
Oh,
Gets
nice.
the landing. Well done. That's huge.
That's great.
Good for her.
Yeah, those are really sweet moments because here she is competing as an individual. She's traveling around with the team from Boise State. They fully embraced her and support her. And for her to come up big like that, the last meet performance of the night, superbly clean, wasn't it? Kathy, there's so much focus on teams and teams advancing, but we can't underestimate what this means to a young lady like her as an individual.
Absolutely. This is one of the best reasons to cover these regionals, because otherwise it's just stressful and chaotic and crazy to try to watch a regional competition. So many teams, all the top teams in the nation, competing at the same time.
Caitlin Coe now for Southern Utah after they finished that conference. Kayla Horton had a 9.825, so good scores for Southern Utah in this final rotation. 9.775 to 9.875 are the 4 performers who have already competed.
Floor performers, they get the stage all to themselves. These final floor performers. Woo, look at the height on that pass. Well over her head. Impressed by that amplitude. They'll have to take a little deduction for the rather large step out of it, but gorgeous height off the floor.
Scotty Bauman, the head coach there at Southern Utah, 31 years with the program, the longest tenured coach at the university. They met, by the way, BYU 3 times this season. They lost to them twice, but beat them once. And their record this year, 6-11, but this is their 8th straight NCAA regional.
And we stressed that at the beginning, Bart, for the teams that are not going to advance to the regional final, and then 2 teams will not advance out of tomorrow's final to go to nationals. This is their big meet of the season, an opportunity, hopefully for them to put up highest event scores, highest personal scores, team scores, because there will be a final ranking at the end of season. For many of those teams, to have the opportunity to move up in the ranking is a big one.
Take a look at a couple highlights from Arizona State involved in this rotation. This is how they secured the second place spot to advance to tomorrow's regional final with some outstanding vaults, Kathy.
That was Emily White first, and really strong vaulting from first competitor to the last. And Nia Smith came out with a big 1.5.
Been a handful of conferences today, Kathy, on floor and beam as well. That slows up the competition a little bit, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I'd love to be a fly on the wall down there and hearing what the discrepancy is, what the disagreement in terms of their start value, most likely.
Right, because they can't have a disagreement based on the execution scores, but if they differ on what the start value of the routine should be, then there elicits a conversation. Stephanie Terford now, the final Southern Utah performer on floor after Caitlin Coe got a 9.8.
This is what the judges are looking for, where they take off, where they land, because if they don't get that full revolution, they will not get credit. And I believe that's where we're seeing the discrepancy and the disagreement among the judges, where they have to confer. Ends with a tuck double back.
We have one more athlete to go. That's Tara Kaufmel as an individual. She'll compete on the floor here in a couple minutes, but we can confirm these are the two teams that will advance. And based on their rankings, that's how it should have gone, but it got interesting there for a little while because Arizona State tightened up a little bit on beam, and Boise State, as you recognize, Kathy, was so outstanding on the bars. They put a lot of pressure on Arizona State, but at the end it came down to ASU hanging on for that second spot. And this is where the drama is in these regions. It's not really so much for first place, it's all about who's second, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it'll set up a crazy final tomorrow. Top two moving on from this session, two from tonight's session.
Based on their season rankings, we would anticipate that Utah and LSU would advance out of this regional to the NCAA championships, but they still have to play the game, don't they?
Absolutely. It's like balance beam. You can't get ahead of yourself. You gotta stay focused on the skill you're on, Bart.
Final athlete of today's competition, Tara Kaufmel from Mesa, Arizona. She competes at Northern Illinois University. Tied for second on floor exercise at the MAC championships this year with a 9.9. While we wait for her to get her chance to go, Miley O'Keefe continues to impress with a 39.575. She's the leader in the all-around. Anna Sharp, Cairo Leonard Baker, Crystal Issa, and Abby Paulson. Those are the top five. Although Miley O'Keefe okay, finally. Thank you, judges. Tara Kaufmel will wrap up today's regional competition.
Beautiful amplitude on pike double back. Very strong ankles, goes up high on toe. Back 1.5 to front layout. Really excellent lift off the floor on both of her double backs. And a very clean performance. But one of the other reasons I think we're seeing some of the judges' conferences, if their scores are too far apart, they also have to conference. And sometimes it's a matter of how much they're deducting for those large steps or slides out of tumbling passes. Some judges will deduct more, some less, and they really have to be closer together in their margin between the scores. And with four judges, it makes it a little bit more challenging.
All right, that brings to the conclusion the session 1 of the Salt Lake City Regional. Utah with a 197.5 wins. Arizona State with a 196.6 gets second. Southern Utah finished strong on floor in that last rotation, and the fall on beam that Boise State had to count rendered them in 4th place finish. So we will be set to go tonight with more exciting action. We hope you join us, because tonight we'll see LSU, Kentucky, Utah State, and Arizona in session 2 from Salt Lake City. Pretty exciting day, Kathy, wasn't it?
But regionals always are. Seatbelts on. I don't think I'm going to take mine off until second session is over.
Okay, for Kathy Johnson-Clark, I'm Bart Connor. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 9 Eastern for session 2 from the Salt Lake City Regional.